Hey, what's up? It's a Figure Hunter, and for review today are the Beats Fit Pro. So we're going to look at the ins and outs and the specs and details and how it sounds on a call, but we're also going to compare them in a head-to-head with the Powerbeats Pro. So the Powerbeats Pro I've been using for about a year, and they are my go-to. They're what I wear all the time. I wear them every day. I do work calls on them. I work out in them. I use them for absolutely everything. So I wanted to really do a little bit more of a comparison between these two and talk about the pros and cons, or the differences in the overall experience now that I've been using the Beats Fit Pro for about 2 weeks. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. We test devices for the purpose of CrossFit training, so there's going to be a little bit of that in this, but we're also just going to talk about the life experience usage of the two, the Beats Fit Pro and the Powerbeats Pro. So the Beats Fit Pro in a nutshell is $200. They are the hottest and greatest headphones on the market right now. There's a lot of different really unique features we're going to talk about with regard to these, and we're going to compare it to the Powerbeats Pro as well. So looking at the spec list, it's basically got 6 hours of charge time if you're using the active noise cancellation on the headphones themselves, and then the case can carry it to 27 hours. It's IPX4 waterproof, which means it's sort of splash resistant, sweat resistance. It basically, the whole case weighs 2 ounces, and it has some really special features that were only previously found on the AirPods Pro. So it has the adaptive EQ, which is a real-time frequency adjustments in real time so that it sounds better quality. It's got spatial audio, which is the weirdest thing ever. I have not used that before, but it's like if you were watching a screen here and you turn your head, you hear as if it's still coming from the monitor over here, or if someone's talking to you, you hear it from over here, like in transparency mode, which is another feature of this. The Beats Fit Pro is the transparency mode. So when you have that switched on, you can hear more of your surroundings while also still hearing the music. And the best part, in my opinion, is the active noise cancellation. So it sort of blocks out, sort of fuzzes out the outdoor, the noise around you, and helps you to have a better sound experience. So when you compare those two to the Powerbeats Pro is $50 cheaper right now. Originally it was listed for $250, but it's $150 versus $200. You get 9 hours out of the headset themselves, but the case can only carry it for a full 24 hours. So a little bit less overall battery life when charged with the case. They're both IPX4, so no better difference there, but the case itself weighs 4.6 ounces, so more than 50% lighter than the Powerbeats Pro. The other thing that's significant about the differences is that there's no volume button on the Beats Fit Pro. You basically could turn the press and hold into volume, and we'll look at that in the settings, but you can't just automatically turn it up and turn it down, which is a nice feature. We're going to look at these sort of side by side in the ear in a second, but the main thing we're going to look at is how it fits, and then we're going to look at a hands-on. So with that, we're going to look at how it fits. We're going to look at a hands-on. We're going to look at the settings to see what adjustments could be made with either of them, and we're going to look at the call sound quality. And before I forget, the Powerbeats Pro doesn't have adaptive EQ adjustment, does not have spatial audio, doesn't have transparency mode, and does not have active noise cancellation. So these are some significant features that are now offered in the Beats Fit Pro in a smaller, more condensed case, smaller, more condensed fit in the ear. So let's look at how it fits in the ear. Okay, so this is the fit of the Beats Fit Pro. You can see it just barely, like if you look at the amount that is sticking out, it's much more subtle. It is fantastic in its overall design because other earbuds that I've tested protrude even further, even if they're locking into the ear in a simple way. So these are very sort of hidden and disguised, and it has this, we'll look at it in a hands-on, but it has this little curvature which helps it capture it in the ear. So now let's compare it to the Powerbeats Pro. How would that look? Okay, so this is the Powerbeats Pro, and you can see that it protrudes a lot differently. Obviously, it's got a big curvature around it. We'll look at it in hands-on in a second, but you can see it's just much more obvious. It's much more standout. It's much more noticeable, and when I compare the two differences, these feel snug, but the Beats Fit Pro feel just as snug, but there's not as much hold on the ear. There's not as much wear on the ear over the course of a time period that you're using it. So it feels much more comfortable. So let's look at the hands-on of the devices, look at the settings, look at a sound quality samples for what it sounds like if you were to take a call on these, and then come back together. All right, so here are the two differences. You can see obviously there's a huge size difference in the case. You have the much slender, more sleek Beats Fit Pro, and then the Powerbeats Pro is in a much larger case. Obviously the Beats Fit Pro is coming in at half the weight, so pretty significant difference there. And if you actually are putting this in a suit pocket or just in your overall pants pocket, it makes a huge difference. It is a lot better experience when you're going to, you know, take them somewhere, just keep them sort of nearby. But if you go to look at the overall differences, you know, the case, they're both really high quality. They both feel like solid, you know, the magnetic closure is solid. Everything about them is really high quality in the build quality. But you can see, you know, obviously the differences in the way that they're designed. This wraps around the ear. It has a large piece here. They both have the same sort of style of, you know, inner ear attachment. They both have, you know, sections here where it can detect if it is actually on your ear. You take it off and it'll stop playing music, stop playing a video. You put it right back on. You don't have to tell the video to start back up. It just automatically starts back up because it can tell that it's gone back in your ear and you're ready to watch again. But overall, you can just see the size differences just significantly different in the overall layout and the amount of space that it takes up. So the Beats Fit Pro just much smaller and still having really solid hold, really solid fit with regard to that little ear piece that snaps into your ear. So let's look at how the sound turns out. So now we can see what the settings look like in each of these. So you can see it's got automatic ear detection. This is on the Powerbeats Pro. Connects to the phone. The microphone can be automatic, whether it's picking up from the left ear or the right ear, and then that is about it. But when you go into the settings for the Beats Fit Pro, you can see a lot of different things. You can turn on active noise cancellation or transparency mode. You can change what the button does. So when you press and hold it, it could be volume control. You push the left earbud and the right earbud to, you know, make the volume go up or down. I just have both set to Siri. And then it's got an ear tip fit test. So you basically put it in, it sort of distinguishes if you have the right ear tips on the end of the Powerbeats Pro. Or the Beats Fit Pro, sorry. So, you know, to me, it didn't really work super effectively, but I just figured out which one I liked the best. And then the spatial audio, you know, it gives you this ability to have the sound coming from the directional, you know, where it's supposed to be received from. I don't know, it's kind of freaky and it is really interesting, but the main thing is all the differences that you would get with the Beats Fit Pro on the settings, expansiveness, and capabilities versus the Powerbeats Pro. Okay, so call quality and the sound on the other end is a big deal with Powerbuds because they're usually so sort of hidden in your ear that they don't sound as good. So I've tested a number and we'll give a sort of a comparison.
What is up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and this is the Beats Fit Pro and how it's going to sound on the other end of the call based on how the microphones work.
Okay, so now let's test the Powerbeats Pro.
Hey, what is up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and this is the audio test for the Powerbeats Pro. This is what it sounds like on the other end of the call, just when you're hearing the other person talking. This is how
a couple of others.
Hey, what's up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, just doing an audio test for the daughter audio phones to see how they sound in a normal
and one more.
Hey, what's up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, just doing an audio test for the Amazfit Powerbuds to see how they sound in a normal environment.
Okay, so last we're just going to go back and retest the Beats Fit Pro in direct comparison to the Powerbeats Pro. And we're going to go back to back so you can hear it all at once.
What is up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and this is the Beats Fit Pro and how it's going to sound on the other end of the call based on how the microphones work. Hey, what is up? It's a Fit Gear Hunter, and this is the audio test for the Powerbeats Pro. This is what it sounds like on the other end of the call, just when you're hearing the other person talking. This is how the microphones sound.
Okay, so what do I think of the Beats Fit Pro? I mean, I just love the look of them. There's a lot of pros, and let's just sort of dive into a list of the pros. Number one, it's louder and more clear because the active noise cancellation makes a huge difference, especially if you're working out in a CrossFit gym, especially if there's a lot of barbells clanking around. It makes a big difference because it just sort of, you know, pushes out some of those outside noise. Secondly, it's a better fit. Not that the Powerbeats Pro didn't hold on as well, but compared to any other device, I can't not wear any, you know, Apple AirPods because they just fall out of my ear. It's a loose fit, but these feel fantastic. It's fantastic because it actually feels lighter and less intrusive on the overall ear, less sort of wear on the overall ear, but at the same time, they have not come out in a single workout. They stay completely in, but less noticeable because of how comfortable they fit in the ear. And because it's a better fit, because it's sort of curving and locking in and pushing a little bit better inside, you get better sound quality. So not only is it active noise cancellation creating a better sound quality, but the better fit and the way that it's designed locks into the ear a little bit better, creating a better overall experience. The adaptive EQ makes the sound quality better. It just adjusts the frequency in real time as you're listening to something. The spatial option, whether you use it or don't use it, is an incredibly cool feature. I haven't decided if I love it or don't love it, but it's just awesome that these are that advanced. And the transparency is just good if you're probably outside running, or if you have somebody that's talk to you periodically. You can still listen to music but still hear if you're listening to music while there's a coworker that wants to talk to you. So that functions well, especially probably for those running and needing to hear if a car is about to hit them. The downside, the only negatives compared to the Powerbeats Pro, is the call sound quality is probably the most significant. The Powerbeats Pro is just probably the best sound quality that I've tested for the experience of the other person on the end. I don't think enough reviewers give this enough notice or enough sort of overall analysis that the call is just crisper and clearer for the person on the other end when you're using the Powerbeats Pro, because I use these for work on calls all day long, and so it's a significant benefit. It's not that these are bad, they're just not quite as good as the Powerbeats Pro. And then secondly, the only other negative is there's no volume button. So I like to press and hold because I'm making calls, so I press, I say please call blah blah blah, and it makes the call for me. But the volume, be able to turn it up and turn it down straight from the device itself, was a big plus of the Powerbeats Pro. So in summary, I think all of the pros far outweigh the cons on a day-to-day basis for a workout headset, for CrossFit, for active, moving around, full activity. You're going to have an incredibly great experience. You're going to have better sound quality. You're going to have better, overall fit quality, and less feeling like you have something attached to your ears. So with that is the review for the Beats Fit Pro, and also the comparison review to the Powerbeats Pro. It's the Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.